is up, everybody? Liam Murphy back in Florida to draft our best ball teams. Going to be ripping a Best Ball Mania 5 in the quest to repeat as champion and win another best ball contest. Going to be joining that in a couple minutes, letting the people stroll in there. How is everyone doing tonight? Howdy. Might be a little bit lower energy than normal tonight, but we'll be back streaming tomorrow as well. I was only gone for a couple days. Return of the King, a little Lord of the Rings shout out. Well, yeah, I was only gone for a couple days, but it feels much longer. Doesn't look like we've gotten much in the way of NFL news. I guess Darren Waller officially retired, but that happened before. I'm on the Theo Johnson side of that, and we can get into all of that. We're jumping into the tournament here. 5 more if you want to draft against me. 5 more. Your countdown is now. Click the join button if you're trying to draft in here. How was the World Series of Poker? It was good. Played a couple tournaments. Didn't win. Thought I played okay. Didn't think I played great the first day, even though I had a big stack. But then I think I started to play well again and just lost some flips, and that's poker. Unlike best ball, even though it's a crazy variant game, it feels like you have a little bit more control because you're literally choosing the players on your team. And, it's just a little bit different than poker, but they are similar as well. Let me share my screen here. We pulled the 108. So bad news is for first and second pick, I only have 6%. So running way below expectation of getting the first or second pick in BBN 5. Good news is, I won from like around the 8-9. Fareed won last year around the back end. I really don't remember where Herzig won with Kamara. I feel like that was the top of the draft. And Crane won with an Eckler Saquon. So that was probably middle to the beginning there. And in my higher stakes drafts, I'm running more normal as far as my pick distribution. Good morning. What's up? What percent neighbors are you? I'm pretty into neighbors. I like them better on PPR. Due to, we're a little bit worried about the Giants' ability to throw for touchdowns, which you need in half point. This is a great time to get a Bijan coming in with an ADP of 69, 6.9. I just love Bijan's playoff schedule. Compared to Brees. Okay, Brees and Bijan, 2 similar viewed backs, I would say. It's kind of hard to assess both of them perfectly because, of course, Brees was part of a dysfunctional offense last year in the Jets. And there are times where he was the only bit of offense. And if they're better, you would think that, well, maybe they score more touchdowns. So maybe Brees is better then. Or maybe a more efficient offense, goes through the air a little bit more. Bijan, of course, you had the disastrous Arthur Smith head coach experience. But let me pull this up. Got an article dropping tomorrow, by the way, over at beatbestball.com where you can get my rankings. Yeah, Bijan's playoff schedule at Las Vegas, home against the Giants, and then at Washington, which I think you could debate that Washington is the number 1 team you would want to play as a running back. They were terrible last year. They can't have gotten that much better at defending against the run. They're going to be super pace up. What is the camera layout you switched to? I don't know. I just plug things in. We might have to fix things here. All right, let's take Achan here. Let's try to get a little bit different. Achan occasionally is going to go at pick 32, but that doesn't even matter to me because the amount of people doing Bijan Achan very low. Achan's a player I want exposure to. Yes, he is a running back, so we're going to have to figure out our wide receivers. But huge single week upside. Plays Cleveland week 17. I think that could be a game through the ground a little bit more. Getting unique combos, as I wrote about at beatbestball.com, a free article. Getting unique combos is not quite as powerful in BBM5, where it's only a 500-man final, but they're still important to me. You know, compared to a total points contest, I think a unique combo does a little bit more lifting there. But yeah, on the topic of, okay, so Brees plays Buffalo week 17. Maybe that game is a shootout. Or maybe it's a ball control game and Brees doesn't have many scoring opportunities because Buffalo's running the ball back and forth on him, or Josh Allen's playing ball control and just playing keep away. Garrett Wilson, Buffalo runs a zone, and I don't really think any corners are going to give Garrett Wilson trouble. Where, I don't know. Bijan versus Atlanta, Brees against Buffalo, that's enough of a tiebreak for me for playoff week contests. All right, let's get to some of these comments. Do we get a countdown? Can't give you those. First time catching one of these live. Let's go, brother. Thoughts on the Dalmatian? Let's catch up on that tomorrow. I've not been catching all that. Is the camera, maybe it's, usually I have my screen like this. So usually I'm looking this way. Do we like this way better? Bully running back? I think going Bijan Achan, no. I think ideally I don't go running back for the next couple of rounds. I've made my bed with Bijan and Achan, two young backs in good situations. Bijan could easily be RB1. Achan, I think it could be debated. He has the highest single week ceiling of any running back and maybe even any player. I mean, he literally scored 50 points. Oh, yeah, there was rumbling. Achan going to play more in the slot. We'll see. We'll see on that. It's June when we're getting, this running back's going to play slot. Although if a guy could do it, I think Achan's a good bet. Wow, okay. Can't pass it. Kyron Williams, welcome to the squad. The thing about Kyron is he's not just a bet on volume. He was actually a good running back, and he's young. So with this, we're almost certainly stopping at 4 running backs. There's quite a bit of CMC, Achan, Kyron. So I'm kind of fighting that combo with just Bijan. And yeah, you got to be brave to do this, or stupid, when you see all this wide receiver. But we're bleeding green here. We got the green shirt on. Let's do it. Just stop at 3 running backs? Probably not. Probably will add a 4th. Just because the way these playoff weeks work, you want a 4th running back to be hitting your lineup week 15, week 16, whatever, in the hopes that maybe Achan doesn't hit my lineup that week. Maybe Kyron doesn't, and they become harder to advance. So I'll be taking a fourth because of that. Start drafting Sam Darnold? No, thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't say in general it's great. The best strategy is to be going triple RB to start. But I think you could also say that of the crowd that consumes content and is plugged in, they are less likely to be building like this. So maybe the people I'm most competing for this type of build are the dudes rolling off their couch in August and are like, where's Ezekiel Elliott starting in the 5th round? Okay. I think we got to get a wideout here. And let's go Kirk. Christian Kirk has been on all 3 of my winning best ball mania teams. I like the Jags offense. And Kirk is good. Become a YouTube member like Best Ball Brian. Hit him with the Liam. 2 of my running backs have a week 6 bye. Yeah, that doesn't bother me too much as far as why I'm adding a 4th running back. Four running backs in a row. No, we're not doing it with ETN. I think that is something you could have done in BBM1. Like I think that's roughly how Justin built. With a hyperfragile Kamara to start. Best ball was a different game back then. It wasn't as popular. So I don't know many players on his team. I do know Kamara scored 50 Christmas that year. You might remember. But the wide receiver landscape was a drastically different place where that was my first year playing best ball. And like I ended every draft with like Chase Claypool. He had that 4 touchdown game that year, his rookie year. T. Higgins was free. Jefferson was free. Remember the narrative. There's been some bad narratives in best ball, but a narrative that year was don't draft rookies because it was COVID. They're not getting a full training camp. Can't draft the rookies. So Jefferson was free. And then you had some high quality option guys too, like Cole Beasley. Bill starting slot was a 18th round guy. I was working for chess.com at the time, and I remember so I was shot taking in some of these high stake ones, and I was just confused at how people were building. Also, the first round was like all running backs. Kenyon Drake was a first round pick that year. Hey, congrats, Omar. PGA influencer Liam inspired me to rip a few albatross entries when I made the finals. Congrats, man. Good luck. My semifinal albatross teams did not make it, so I will not be defending my 3rd place albatross. Wow, Mark Andrews sitting here at pick 56. Sure. I don't have a lot of Andrews. Just kind of a byproduct of preferring the younger tight ends, even though I'm really into elite tight end. And the hope is that I'm beating the pod at running back. And now I hope I'm also beating most of them at tight end as well. Because it's hard if you're punting off multiple positions, right? So I'm not punting running back. I'm not punting tight end. You can't really purely punt QB. So I'll be serviceable there. And wide receiver is the position I'm kind of punting right now. Who do you like more, Kirk or Higgins? I like Kirk because in a healthy season, Kirk can be the one on his team. I think you could say, though, T. Higgins, the Jags, it's kind of messy guessing how things will go for the Jags. Because you got Evan Ingram, you got Brian Thomas Jr., and you got Gabe Davis, who, easily probably the least talented of the group, but produced with Buffalo, should be seeing the field. And you got Kirk, right? So you got a lot of guys there. Where for the Bengals, it's Chase, it's Higgins, you got the rookie Burton, Mike Gesicki's the tight end. You're not as worried about that compared to Evan Ingram drawing targets. So they're next to each other in my rankings, but I prefer Kirk a little bit more. And Higgins, before his contract, you would get him in the 50s sometimes. Kirk used to too. I posted a BBM5 I did the other week where he was picked 60. Kirk was on day one. Okay. I think Calvin Ridley is fine. To get a little week 17 correlation here. And it looks like the market might give me some of these guys in the next round. So Ridley's a guy I also haven't drafted a bunch, largely because, you used to be able to get Hopkins in the 80s, and I was getting a lot of him. And I think it could be debated. Maybe Ridley slowed down a little bit. It's kind of hard to say. He was off the suspension, and he almost, connected on a bunch of touchdowns if the field was a little bit bigger. But I do think Will Levis's style of, hey, someone's down there, let's huck it up, that's got to benefit Calvin Ridley. Someone asked me, what do I think of the tool released by Pat & Co. What are your thoughts on Pat's sidekick tool? I know you've been a critique in the past of tools that basically could draft for you, and this seems to make me think things are headed that way. I saw discussion about it on Twitter. I'm not actually bothered to look what the tool does, but my point stands the same as it did the previous years when I talked about this. I think, it's bad for the game if there is a tool that is auto drafting for you. Like, what are we doing then if Finance Bro can roll out his couch, not know anything, plug in $1,500 and build plus EV teams? The bigger concern also is once you start having widespread bot usage, such as like online poker is seen, what's to stop these tools intelligently colluding with each other, in the sense that collusion itself is not a concern at all in best ball because of the amount of time it takes. If you remove the time it takes to collude, such as like, what if you had one bot, you had two bots, they're working together in the room, and they notice, hey, this guy needs quarterback, so you got one that, you just got one that's like sniping and helping your other teams, and you pay the extra entry fee, whatever. So I don't know what his thing does. If it's not an auto draft bot, like if all it is showing like, I don't know, playoff correlations and things like that, like, come on, that's what is that even offering? But I'd have to look more into it to give like a firm opinion there. I'm not really worried about it because, best ball is not a solved game, right? So even if you have something going off of my rankings or Pat's rankings or whatever, it's still only as good as the inputs. It will kind of kill the game though if, casuals are feeling like they are, wide receiver is weak here, let's quote unquote reach on Curtis Samuel. It won't feel, like part of the allure of best ball is you're actually competing against real people. And I think a lot of people don't play DFS anymore because they feel like you need optimizers and such. So, but I don't know, I'm personally against it. I don't see why the sites themselves would be for it because, the more cynical amongst you could say something like, hey, of course they want these auto drafting software for you because they can rake the contest more. And I think that would be a misunderstanding of the business model of any best ball site. Any best ball site, you can rake best ball once a year. The whole goal of, I think, most of these companies, in my opinion, these are all my opinions, is to become sports betting websites or whatever you call that. Right? That just is way more upside compared to best ball. So best ball to me is customer acquisition. You offer a good product, people like it, people like you. So no, I think the sites should side with the players versus just get the teams in there. Someone says the tool doesn't draft for you. It gives you suggestions on who to draft based on their rankings, positional needs, boost players' projections at their stack. I mean, look, that stuff's not that hard to do. Like if it's like looking at your roster and it's saying, you've drafted 9 wide receivers. Maybe you should take the running back instead of the top ranked guy who is a wide receiver in our queue. Like, that's just kind of like table stakes. I guess it could help someone who knows absolutely nothing about it. Yeah, so we're just not going to take a wideout here. Zach Moss is our last running back. I just love the prospect of, Moss versus Chase Brown. I think you could say Chase Brown's far more explosive. Zach Moss feels like he's going to be the goal line back. Has a pretty nutted schedule, Tennessee, Cleveland, Denver. I can just see that 10 touchdown upside. But I take Chase Brown too. I'm not, there's good people on both sides. I think you're insane if you're clearly always going Moss or always going Brown and not taking both. So, yeah, I'm not really too worried about it. I think the sites, it really isn't hard for the sites to detect plugins and stuff. I used to work for chess.com. I also worked cheat detection on some tournaments, but yeah. I don't know. I think you should let your opinion known to the sites if you think tools like this are bad for the game. I think they are bad for the game, in some sense, right? But there's nothing against getting better at best ball. So I don't know. And obviously, as a quote unquote competitor, I'm sure I'm much smaller. Pat launched last year. I don't want to talk bad about someone else's business. But I don't think you're going to see me offering tools anytime soon. Although if that's the way best ball goes, I guess I would have to, right? Even against it. If I'm going to run a best ball site and you just need to have these plugins and such, sure. It's maybe. I don't know. I spoke up hard against Brick's tool last year, and we did get Brick's tool banned. But I just, am I going to do that every time someone releases a tool? That's just a lot of quote unquote work. So someone brings up a good point that Jeremy Levine said in an interview a long time ago that overlays that tell you the optimal pick is where they draw the line. Isn't that tool doing this? Yeah, I saw that interview referenced on ETR pod. So I don't know, guys. What did the tool you said got banned last year do? It was an intelligent auto drafter. So it was basically doing this, but it could literally make the pick for you. Which, again, I think that should be a clear line drawn. Obviously, it's terrible for the game. Like if I'm trying to be like to my home league, if I'm trying to be like, hey guys, draft a couple teams, which I do tell like the home league guys, I'm like, yeah, you should draft like a team. You can have the sweat for a year. Why not? Like you got a shot. I don't think I'd be likely to tell them that if I knew there was, 40% of the contest being just auto drafted. It could be good though, I think ranking systems each have hit and misses. So if someone has a bad year in the ranking department, and a lot of people are using it. Let's go Josh Palmer here. Taking a stab at an ambiguous wideout room. We already grabbed Curtis Samuel. Possible stack later. Is that how all those $5 drafts fill so fast? I mean, yeah, like that would be an example of, imagine that you have 1,000 bot softwares who detect a puppy starts. They all auto enter. Like, how like robots can like buy tickets from concert events? They all auto enter. And now the common dude can't even get in his puppies. I mean, would it stop me from drafting? No, because I think I'm a good best ball drafter and I'm not really worried about that. But again, these are stances for the sites to make, and the sites do say something about tools. Someone tagged me this, so I'll give visibility for you guys to make your own opinions on it. My man, good guy Grant here. Here. Give your own opinion on this. He said, what's the stance on this? Yada, yada. And this is what I said about the tool last year, too. Scrape, access, monitor, index, frame, link, content, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think a tool should be able to scrape the data on each drafter, even though that is publicly available information because Underdog releases how someone drafted. But I guess if it's scraping, hey, Liam built this way last year, that's still kind of on the line for me as far as like if that's acceptable. I would say probably not. But what would be way worse is if it's just kind of like observing lobbies and being like, hey, he's taking this guy. So now it's getting player exposures before public information's even released or something like that. But anyways, let's get back to the football. Let's go Trevor here. I don't care if a bot is pointing out correlation. I mean, like, if any site is not telling their subscribers, hey, you should correlate. I mean, I guess like a brand new person wouldn't know until they read things, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, my team so far is Trevor, Bijan, Achan, Kyron, Zach Moss, Kirk, Ridley, Curtis Samuel, Joshua Palmer, and Mark Andrews. So we're done at 4 running backs. Hope and Bijan's close to the RB1. Achane super high weekly ceiling. Kyron, you're just hoping that Blake Corum is a generational wealth opportunity. And Moss, I really think the Bengals running backs feel one of the big keys to fantasy football this year. I take both together sometimes. 41% Ridley. I'm not there myself. I don't take Ridley a lot, but who's the tell me the wide receiver you guys like that won in the 6th round or the 7th round. Hopkins to Rome. Who is your guy in this list? Hopkins to Rome. So you got names like Rome, Ridley, Keon Coleman, Ladd, Brian Thomas, Rashee Rice, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, Christian Watson, and DeAndre Hopkins. Who is the guy you like in that range? I personally see cases for all of them. You got some vets, Ridley, Godwin, who are Hopkins, who are cheap because of their quarterback situation. You got some rookies, Rome, Keon, Ladd, Brian Thomas, some who are here because of their draft capital, some who are here because of their situation. You got a suspended guy. You got another guy attached to a probably bad quarterback. We've seen a lot of these guys attached to bad quarterbacks smash. Amari Cooper with Jacoby Brissett, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin with Baker Mayfield. So let's see what the chat's saying here. Hopkins, Watson and Rice, Odunze, Deontay Johnson, Ladd, Deontay, Rome, Deontay, Ridley, Rice, Hopkins, Rome, Ladd, Rice. Yeah, if you put a gun to my head and I could only do one team, I would take Rome. I would take Christian Watson. And then give me one of the rookies. Either Brian, Ladd, or Coleman. Let's grab Justin Herbert here. I mean, 2 borderline elite quarterbacks. They were drafted like elites last year. Almost nothing's changed for Trevor, although maybe he even got an upgrade. He did for his O-line for sure. Herbert, I mean, maybe they're better without, off injured Mike Williams, etc. So now I'm not punting QB. I'm not punting running back. I have an elite tight end. We're going to add another there. And then we're chucking the rest in the wideout. And we got some guys to keep us afloat there. Piece of the Bills, piece of the Chargers. Ridley and Kirk. Seems like at least one wideout for everyone. I know more. Yeah, so Rome is the guy I like because I think it's easy to, he went super high in the real NFL draft. So you could look back at this and be like, wow, what were we doing? And he's getting pushed down because people are scared because there's 3 guys. But I think it's possible. It's so possible Rome just clears Keenan Allen. Maybe not to start, but eventually. And maybe even clears DJ Moore. Like, it's not a possible Rome's the one. Okay. So I think Tua would be a luxury pick, but kind of fun getting this like Tua Achane correlation. And you know what? Since the wideouts, look, I like these guys, but I'm just not doing it. I'm not going to give the room here to I'm going to make a Miami drafter star. Well, he actually wasn't going to go it because he went double Miami and then Mahomes and Love. But whatever. We're burying the room at QB. We're burying the room at running back is the hope. One more tight end, the rest in the wideout. Tight end. And we still get 9 wide receivers. So, and I like Polk. I like Burton by ADP. Dotson is in there too. I usually don't go 3 QB either. So yeah, I really like Rome with Caleb Williams. I don't understand the enthusiasm of Ridley ahead of some of these guys. Rice, obviously, the only question is suspension. Deontay, I like better on PPR, where if the offense isn't as good, he could still get there in PPR. Brian, again, draft capital over Ladd and Keon. Ladd, I think you could say, has one of the easiest chances of being the one on his offense amongst these guys, other than Ridley or Hopkins, because it has to be one of those two. And then Coleman, I think you could argue has the most downside. But also one of the best upside situations. Any chance I can get you to tell me how bad my team is at the 111? All right, my man's got Garrett Wilson, Nico Zay. That all seems good to me. Lamar seems fine. Rashad White and Pitts. JSN Brooks looks fine, brother. Rookie QBs don't throw a lot of touchdowns, though. Did we say this about Bryce Young? Are you being sarcastic? Or it's hard for me to read sarcasm from the chat. I mean, yeah, maybe Caleb doesn't, but I like his chances to have a great year. Wow. Okay. The wide receiver is now worse, but we're still going to end up with 9 of those dudes. Give me Luke Musgrave. I don't build a lot like this, but you got to build some. And maybe it could be argued that building these alpha running back starts better in August amongst us, telling people, hey, jump in this draft. Rarely the best time to build a running back heavy start. Although, again, Kyron Williams might not be a thing in the 3rd round come August. Maybe he's a thing in the 4th round. Maybe he goes up to the 2nd again. Is Caleb Williams going to have a better rookie season than Richardson did? I mean, what do you mean? The dude got hurt. Run a puppy. I didn't even know the puppy was in the lobby with us broke boys. But I got you tomorrow on a puppy. Wow. All right, whatever. This team's terrible, but Benson, another super high upside guy. We're only going 8 wide out, so this team is not good, but it could work. Here's the only team I've built like this summer, where did not need the 3rd quarterback, did not need the 3rd tight end. So that knocks me down. Could have had 11 wide receivers or 10 wide receivers. Now we're getting 8. But there's some upside wideouts to convince yourself of. And really need Kirk to have a good year and stay healthy. Need Ridley to be the one on his team. And if not the one, not a far cry to the 1B. Curtis Samuel needs to be the number 1 wideout on the Bills offense. And Josh Palmer needs to be the 1 or 2, which I think he can, and I think Curtis Samuel could be the 1 on the Bills. There is a world in which Curtis and Kirk smash for sure. I think there's a world where Kirk, Curtis, and Palmer all smash, and a little bit less clear to me for Ridley, but it would take Will Levis being just like much better. What if a hyperfragile 3-4-8-3 is what you need? Thank you, man. Thank you. Hey, Devin. Appreciate you, man. He gifted a membership. Who got the membership? If you got Devin's membership, let me know. Can you grade my team on your DC? What's my DC? Explain what DC means, Devin. Oh, Omar, you want it. Hey. Oh, Discord. Wow, dude. That was embarrassing by me. Own a Discord. Didn't even know the slang. All right, Devin, where is it? Tag me in it, or did you direct message me it? Something that I never check. Where's the squad, Devin? Oh, you're okay. You got a username that matches absolutely 0 with Luke McCaffrey, a rookie upside swing. I love it. Wide receiver 5. He's getting carries at running back too, so a little bit of Curtis Samuel there. Okay. All right, Devin. I got you after this pick. Appreciate the gifted membership. Demario Douglas, obviously one of the Patriots wideouts. Ideal to correlate with Herbert. Didn't get him. There are other options, though. And it seems like the what is setting up a Patriots stack, wanting a third quarterback, only having Stafford and Watson. What if Luke is the better McCaffrey in an instant? Never a world like that. Man, wouldn't that be wild, though? That would be great for my bags. I've been drafting a lot about Luke McCaffrey. Someone tagged me in my Discord the other week, and they're like, hey, just want to be clear, you're still high on this guy because I've been drafting him a lot. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to move him down a little bit maybe. And then I did my rankings, and I just couldn't because, I mean, I don't see how he's not at least the third option on his team or third wide receiver. And I think there's huge room for him to be the second after Terry, just betting against Jahan Dotson. Let's take DJ Chark here to stack with Herbert. I could see that 6 touchdown season from Chark if Quentin Johnston is again bad. All right. This is from Devin. He's got a Richardson, Caleb Williams team. So I think Richardson, totally possible he's the QB1 this year. And Caleb Williams I like as your second. Bijan and Achane. Achane in the third. See how I mentioned that I took Achane here, but I said there will be some teams that took him here. So he got that. Alvin Kamara, Brian Robinson, and Bucky Irving. Kamara, the obvious question. I mean, great ADP value on Kamara. I like Brian Robinson a lot. I think at price, Kamara is a great pick. Clearly, this was a wide receiver heavy one, and I'm going to guess maybe it was a puppy because the puppies are even crazier than Best Ball Mania 5. Bucky Irving, yeah, I take him sometimes. Obviously, he's a dart, right? Not my favorite player. Not super athletic, but he's fine. Mike Evans, Zay as your two best wideouts. And then Keenan, I'm not super high on Keenan. I think he benefited from some like Mickey Mouse usage after all the Chargers dudes got hurt. But I do draft him some, and he stacks with Caleb. Jameson Williams, after being so into this guy, I've not been drafting a ton of him just because that's usually the round where I think you want to be getting running backs or some quarterbacks. You want to pick 80. But you can see what you need there, which would be 6 to 10 touchdowns, and he can do that. He had so many touchdowns called back. I think it's unlikely he's ever going to be a high level target producer, but it could be valuable targets. Mike Williams, the hope for Mike is that he is the second option there for the Jets. He's a risky guy though, right? Major downside is, Malachi Corley could pass him. Conklin could pass him. Adam Thielen, again, another old dude here. He's fine. You're hoping for a rough mirage of last year. I was more into him at the beginning of the draft cycle, and I haven't been taking him as much. And then Demarcus Robinson, I really like at cost. End of the year, great. Third option for the Rams. I do not think 4 tight end was the move for this team. I definitely think you should have stopped at 3 and added a 8th wide receiver because, okay, you got 7. Maybe you like these guys a little bit more than me. But I just, there's enough questions on Keenan with age, Jameson Williams with, weekly volatility, Mike Williams with his health and everything, Adam Thielen with age, Demarcus Robinson could easily go back to 0, right, if another guy emerges, even though I like him. So I definitely think this was a 3 tight end team, and that likely pick I would have liked to be a wide receiver. Even though I see what you're doing, right? You're trying to add another piece of the Ravens, and you got ADP value unlikely. I like the contexture of your tight end room though, where you got some athletic, high upside guys. Okay. So we need wideouts. Devontae Walker seems like a swing at upside. Rookie, 4th round pick. Yeah, wide receiver is your biggest concern. Because even Big Mike, he's got to lose a step eventually in his career. But strong QBs, strong running backs, obviously strong tight end, just because you got so many of them that I think it's enough upside here. But I would be doing an 8th wide receiver, and I think you even could have gone, if you wanted, you could do 2 tight end on this sometimes, and you could have you didn't need the 5th running back, right? But that was fine, right? Like the type of, my personal opinion is these types of builds where you're balanced enough, it's not like, always you should do 5 RB here, or always you should do 2 tight end here, or always you should do 3 tight end. I think, you're definitely fine with 4 only here, as you got 3 dudes who should be super high, just the RB1s on their team. And then Brian Robinson is a swing at upside. So, yeah, you could have gone 9 wide receivers on this team. But thanks for sending that in. Great question from Eugenio here. He says, hey, Liam, why does DraftKings say $20 entry, total prize pools $204 in the 15 million tournament, first 1.5 mil? So the 200, what he's talking about is when you draft a team on DraftKings, if you look at the upcoming teams, it will show you like $200 or whatever. What that is it's the expected value of your ticket if you advance. Let's get a wideout here. And yeah, I think Kendrick Bourne, large 0 potential. I think I also could have done someone like Malik Washington, who also has large 0 potential. But we'll do the game stack with Herbert, and the hope is that he's just the 1 or 2 in New England. Washington can't be that high upside. So I think, Washington cannot be better than the 3rd wide receiver. And even then, he's probably put behind guys like Achane. But yeah, I think Bourne is a perfectly logical guy here to tack on. So yeah, just to finish this thing from Eugenio, DraftKings displays the expected value of your tournament ticket if you advance. So each $20 one that you advance, the EV of the quarterfinals is $200. Underdog does not do that. Underdog displays the winnings. So DraftKings will say you're winning X amount of dollars. That is almost assuredly more money than you are going to actually receive, because, why is your tournament ticket worth $200? Well, because first place is $1.5 million, So, if you max the DK Millie at $20 a pop, that's $3,000. And let's say you're advancing, I don't know, let's just say you're normal and you advance 25 teams. It's going to say you're winning 25 times 200. So it's going to say you're winning $5,000. You're not. That's just the EV. Has Bourne ever been more than a wide receiver 3 for a team? I think Kendrick Bourne was the wide receiver 1 for New England for stretches last year. So, yes. And I mean, look, the 0 potential is because he's not healthy right now. I'm going to wait for this draft to finish and then we'll recap it. It's thin, but it might work. High emphasis on might. Number 58, 619 stream. Thanks for the input. Appreciate you, Devin. Thanks for the super chat. Okay, so we got Trevor, Herbert, Tua at QB. So 3 great QB options. Bijan, Achane, Kyren Williams, Zach Moss. 4 great running back options. I didn't really want to take Moss. I wanted to take a wide receiver there, but of course, wide receiver was just gone by then. Kirk, Ridley, Samuel, Josh Palmer, Luke McCaffrey, DJ Chark, Devontae Walker, Kendrick Bourne. So, okay, Kirk, you're hoping he's the 1 in Jacksonville, and he should be. Ridley, the 1A or 1B in Tennessee. So you're kind of hoping for like the Amari Cooper year, Mike Evans year, if he could be close to that. Curtis Samuel, you're hoping he's the 1 in Buffalo and getting a little bit of running back usage for the wide receiver room. Josh Palmer, the 1 or 2 for the Chargers, or 1B, something like that. Luke McCaffrey, you hope he ascends to the 2nd wideout. Maybe he's getting a little bit of running back usage. DJ Chark, you just kind of hope he has like 4 to 5 20-point games in PPR land. So 4 to 5 15-point games or so. Devontae Walker, I guess the hope for him is that he is the 2nd wide receiver for the Ravens. Because, not the hardest depth chart to climb. He also could be a 0. He is an athletic freak, though. A wideout room of Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Walker, Deontay Hardy. So, he is the 4th minimum. And, could he overclimb Aguilar? Could he overclimb Bateman? Seems, likely that he can. And then Bourne, again, the hope for Bourne is that he becomes the 1 on his team. He produced for stretches last year on a very dysfunctional offense. But there's a lot of guys there. Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk, KJ Osborne, Smith-Schuster, I think, will be cut. Push born to the side, I think, are KJ Osborne and Kayshon Boutte and Javon Baker, of course. So that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Please like and subscribe to the video. I am on the road to 5K. I'll be back tomorrow with another stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great night. Peace.